You know this person. Maybe you have dated several versions of them. They are charming at the beginning, warm, attentive. You feel seen by them in a way that is intoxicating. Like they understand something about you that most people miss. And then, slowly, or sometimes suddenly, they pull back. The texts get shorter. The emotional access closes. The person who seems so present becomes a version of themselves that you can never quite reach. And you find yourself doing what you swore you would not do again. Trying harder, waiting longer, making yourself smaller or louder, or whatever it seems like they need, just to get back to the version of this that felt so right at the beginning. And eventually, it ends. And after the pain clears enough to think, you look back and you ask the question that has been following you from relationship to relationship. Why do I keep ending up here? Here is what every self-help article, every attachment quiz, every well-meaning friend gets wrong about that question. They tell you it is because you have anxious attachment. They tell you to work on your patterns. They tell you to choose better. And none of that is wrong, but none of it tells you the thing you actually need to know. It is not bad luck. It is not low standards. It is not that healthy people are not out there. Your nervous system is choosing them, on purpose, for reasons that are deeply logical, once you understand the wiring. And once you understand the wiring, you can change it. That is what Rewired is for. Long before you had your first relationship, long before you could name what love felt like or what it was supposed to be, your nervous system was already building a map. It built that map from the relationships available to it, your earliest caregivers. And it was not mapping what love should look like. It was mapping what love does look like, what the specific texture of closeness feels like in your body, what the rhythms of connection, the availability, the distance, the repair, actually are. This map is what psychologists call your internal working model, and it becomes the template your nervous system uses automatically and unconsciously to evaluate every relationship that follows. Here is the critical insight. Your nervous system does not seek what is healthy. It seeks what is familiar. Not because it wants to harm you, because familiarity is its definition of safe. The nervous system's primary function is threat detection, and what it cannot predict, it registers as dangerous. The person who feels comfortable, predictable, and emotionally consistent may genuinely not register as a romantic possibility, not because they are wrong for you, but because your nervous system has not been taught to recognize safety as desirable. And the person who is emotionally unavailable, who mirrors the inconsistency, the pursuit, the hot and cold dynamic that your nervous system learned was love, activates something that feels like recognition, like chemistry, like the right person. It is not the right person. It is the right pattern. And your nervous system cannot currently tell the difference. Let's go into the neuroscience, because this is the layer that completely changes how you understand the pull toward emotionally unavailable people. Attachment theory, first developed by John Bowlby and later extended by Mary Ainsworth, established that early caregiving relationships create internal working models, cognitive emotional templates that shape how we approach all relationships throughout life. But recent neuroscience has gone further. Anxious and avoidant attachment styles have been associated with decreased activity in the brain's reward and positive feedback structures, including the ventral tegmental area, which is central to the dopamine reward system. What this means in practice: the anxious brain does not fully receive or register positive, consistent, available love as rewarding. The reward circuitry has been calibrated to respond to intermittent reinforcement, the unpredictable cycle of warmth and distance, because that is what activated the attachment system in early life. Intermittent reinforcement is not just emotionally addictive, it is neurologically addictive. The unpredictability of an emotionally unavailable partner activates the same dopamine-seeking circuits as gambling. The uncertainty. Will they respond warmly today? Will they be emotionally present? Keeps the attachment system in a state of heightened activation that registers as intense feeling. And the anxious and avoidant styles are the most common pairing in adult romantic relationships. Not despite their incompatibility, but because of it. Each activates the other's core pattern with almost perfect precision. The 4 phases of the anxious-avoidant cycle. Here is the cycle playing out, in 4 phases that will be deeply recognizable if you have lived this. Phase 1. The pull. In the early stages, the avoidant partner is typically engaging, warm, even pursuing. They are in the comfortable early phase, before intimacy feels threatening. The anxious partner, receiving consistent attention, feels settled, desirable, chosen. Both feel good. This is the phase that makes the relationship feel like it could be different from all the others. Phase 2. The retreat. As emotional intimacy begins to deepen, the avoidant partner's nervous system fires a threat signal. Closeness begins to feel suffocating. They create distance through busyness, emotional unavailability, shorter responses, physical withdrawal. The anxious partner's nervous system fires its own threat signal, abandonment. The withdrawal activates the attachment alarm, and the response is pursuit. More messages, more attempts to connect, more effort to get back to the warmth of Phase 1. Phase 3. The chase. Anxious pursuit triggers avoidant withdrawal, which confirms abandonment fears, which intensifies pursuit. The cycle is now self-sustaining. The avoidant partner, feeling crowded, retreats further. The anxious partner, feeling more desperate, pursues harder. Each person's behavior confirms the other's worst fear with extraordinary precision. And here is the terrible genius of this phase. The intermittent moments when the avoidant partner does offer warmth. A good day, a tender moment, a conversation that feels like Phase 1 again, are more potent than consistent love would ever be. Because the relief of intermittent reward after prolonged uncertainty is one of the strongest reinforcement mechanisms in human psychology. Phase 4. The reset. Eventually, through argument, through distance, through a period of enough emotional pain, there is a reset. The avoidant partner, experiencing relief from the pressure of pursuit, becomes available again. The anxious partner, relieved of the terror of abandonment, relaxes again. They are briefly back in Phase 1, until the cycle repeats. This can continue for months, for years, for the lifetime of a relationship that never resolves, because the underlying patterns driving it have never been addressed. Here is the piece that nobody explains clearly enough, and it is the piece that causes the most confusion and self-blame. If you have an anxious attachment pattern and you go on a date with someone who is genuinely secure, kind, consistent, emotionally available, not playing games, something may feel wrong. Not bad, not unpleasant, just flat, boring, like there is no chemistry, like the electricity is missing. Secure partners who are reliably available and emotionally open can feel surprisingly boring or not quite right to people with insecure attachment, because security does not activate the familiar pursuit-distance dynamic that the nervous system has learned to interpret as love. This is not a reflection of the secure person's value. It is a reflection of your nervous system's calibration. The nervous system that has been trained on intermittent reinforcement, on the specific chemical cascade of pursuit, uncertainty, and occasional reward, will not initially recognize consistent, available love as love at all. It registers it as the absence of feeling. What it is actually registering is the absence of the pattern, and that distinction between feeling and pattern is the entire foundation of rewiring. The rewiring framework, the 5 steps that actually change the pattern. This is the section of this video that every competitor leaves out. Not the awareness, not the explanation, the actual framework. Here are the 5 steps that comprise the rewired attachment pattern breaking process, grounded in attachment research, neuroscience, and clinical practice. Step 1. Map your pattern with precision, not just your attachment style. Most people stop at, "I have anxious attachment," and treat that as a complete answer. It is not. It is a category. What actually rewires the nervous system is specificity, knowing exactly what your pattern looks and feels like in your body in real time. Ask yourself, what does emotional unavailability feel like when it first shows up in a relationship? What is the first physical signal? The tightening, the pull, the hypervigilance. What do you do next? And what does the brief relief of their attention feel like when it returns? Map the full sequence, not as a judgment of yourself, as data about your nervous system's specific program. You cannot interrupt a pattern you cannot see in real time. Step 2. Identify the early template. The pattern you are living in current relationships was learned in a much earlier one. This does not require years of therapy to explore. It requires honest reflection. Ask, was the love available to you in early childhood consistent? Were your emotional needs reliably met, or were they sometimes met and sometimes not? Did closeness ever come with a cost? Withdrawal, overwhelm, unavailability? You are not looking to blame. You are looking to identify the original map, so you can understand what your nervous system was taught to recognize as normal and where that teaching has led you. Research confirms that attachment exists on a spectrum rather than as fixed categories, influenced by life experiences, emotional regulation, and social context. Which means it is dynamic, which means it changes, which means you are not stuck with the map you were given. Step 3. Build the gap between trigger and response. The anxious-avoidant cycle is automatic. It is not a series of conscious choices. It is a series of triggered responses that happen faster than deliberate thought. The rewiring happens in the gap, the space between the trigger and the response. And that gap must be built deliberately, over time, because it does not exist naturally in a nervous system running an old program. This is what regulation looks like in practice. When you feel the pull of pursuit, when the text goes unanswered and the alarm fires, you do not suppress the feeling. You name it. You locate it in your body. You breathe into it deliberately. You ask, is this abandonment or is this discomfort? These are not the same thing, and the ability to tell the difference in real time is the foundation of a new pattern. Step 4. Deliberately expose yourself to the experience of security. If your nervous system registers security as boring, as the absence of chemistry, you need to retrain it. This does not mean forcing yourself to date people you feel no attraction toward. It means choosing, deliberately and repeatedly, to remain in the presence of consistent, available connection. In friendships, in therapeutic relationships, in communities. Long enough for your nervous system to begin building new associations. Security must be experienced, not just understood. The nervous system does not learn from information. It learns from repeated experience. Every moment you allow yourself to receive consistent warmth without dismissing it, without waiting for it to be taken away, without manufacturing urgency to make it feel real, you are building the neurological infrastructure for a different kind of relationship. Step 5. Choose actions that belong to the pattern you want, not the one you have. Rewiring is behavioral before it is emotional. The emotional experience of security arrives after the behavioral choice has been made repeatedly, not before. This means, when your pattern says pursue, you pause. Not because the feeling isn't real, but because the action will confirm the old pattern rather than interrupt it. It means, When someone is consistently available and kind, and you feel the pull to dismiss them as boring, you stay. You invest. You give the security time to register as something real. It means you choose, again and again, the actions of someone who has a secure attachment style, even before those actions feel natural. Because the feelings follow the actions, not the other way around. This is not pretending. This is neurological rehearsal. And with enough repetition, the rehearsal becomes the reality. I want to say something directly before this video ends. The fact that you have been in this pattern does not mean you are broken. It means you learned love in a specific way. In an environment where love was sometimes available and sometimes not, where closeness sometimes came with a cost, your nervous system made the only rational adjustment available to it. It learned to work harder for love, to be more attuned to its fluctuations, to experience the absence of love as urgent and the presence of it as relief. That is not pathology. That is adaptation. And adaptation can be adapted. The anxious-avoidant trap is not a life sentence. Attachment exists on a spectrum, influenced by life experiences and emotional regulation, which means it shifts. Research confirms that earned security is real, that people who were not given secure attachment in childhood develop it through intentional healing, through the right relationships, through the deliberate work of rewiring. You are not too far gone. You are not too damaged. You are not destined to repeat this. You are someone whose nervous system is running an old program in a present that no longer requires it. And you now have the framework to begin writing a new one. If this video explains something you have been living but couldn't fully name, share it. With the friend who keeps ending up in the same relationship. With the person who cannot understand why the available ones never feel right. This is the conversation that changes patterns, and changed patterns change lives. Subscribe, like, and share.